Hello everyone, Victor Tanzik here, and welcome to the Reddit Railway. Today's destination is r/am I the arsehole, so all aboard! I'm currently 35 weeks pregnant. This is mine and my husband's first child. We found out it was a girl, and my husband suggested the name Tiffany. I immediately fell in love with the name. I asked him where he got it from, and he told me that he heard it while watching a movie and it stuck with him. I didn't think much of it. We decided that we both loved the name, and that was what we were going to call our little girl. A few days ago, my sister-in-law and I were talking, and we got onto the topic of the name. She mentioned how surprised she was. She said she'd never want to name her child after her husband's ex-girlfriend. I was really confused and asked her to explain. She told me my husband dated a girl named Tiffany from 10th grade until they were juniors in college. I knew my husband had been in a long-term relationship with someone, but I never knew the girl's name. My sister-in-law could tell how upset I was. She apologized, but I wasn't upset with her. After hanging up, I confronted my husband and asked him if what his sister said is true. He tried to blow it off at first, but eventually admitted it was. We argued back and forth for a while before I told him I would not name my daughter after his ex-girlfriend, and I refused to use the name Tiffany anymore. He tried to convince me that it wasn't a big deal, but it is because 1. He lied to me about where the name came from. 2. I don't want to look at my daughter every day and remember that she's named after my husband's ex. And 3, it makes me feel like he's still in love with her. As far as I know, they're not in contact and haven't been since they broke up. He told me that I was overreacting. He said I was acting like a child and that I can't change my name now since I'm due in 5 weeks. I feel hurt and betrayed. After I finally got him to admit the truth, I asked him why he wanted to use that name in the first place. He said he thought it was pretty and that his ex-girlfriend was such a good person. He wanted to name our daughter after her, but thought I wouldn't agree to it, so he told me that he heard it from a movie instead of being honest. I'm not going to be manipulated into naming my daughter after his ex. My husband slept over at his parents' house because I felt like I needed some time away from him. I'm going to talk to him when he comes home today, but sitting here, I have to wonder, am I the asshole for not wanting to name my daughter after my husband's ex-girlfriend? Not the asshole. Your husband, on the other hand. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. This bloke is still hung up on his ex. Why else wouldn't he be honest about where the name came from? And how gross is it that he wants to name his daughter after her anyway? I can't help but wonder if he's still in contact with Tiffany. I don't believe he wants to name his daughter after her based on a distant memory. There has to be a more immediate reason. That's my theory anyway. Let's jump into the update to see if I'm right. A lot of people have mentioned that he might be cheating on me with his ex-girlfriend, or he still has feelings for her. I thought about it a lot, and based on how he's been acting these past few months, they might have a point. So when my husband got home, I demanded that we have a serious talk. It was pointless at first. I basically kept repeating the same thing over and over again as he refused to comment on anything I said. Finally, I asked him if he was cheating on me. He immediately denied it, but I didn't believe him. I continued to pester him about it, and he finally admitted that he's been texting his ex-girlfriend for a while now, but that's it. Again, there was no way I was going to believe him. I asked him how long they've been in contact. He told me not long, but I wanted a real answer, so I asked him again. Basically, from what he told me, he was in contact with her for a few days before we found out we were having a girl. This was when I was 22 weeks pregnant, and now I'm 35 weeks. So he's been talking to her behind my back for about 13 weeks. I cried and kept asking him questions to get as much information as I could. He kept trying to avoid each question, but I finally got answers out of him. He told me that she contacted him because she was getting married and was having second thoughts. My husband admitted that talking to her made him realize he still had feelings for her, but he swears he loves me too. The reason he suggested Tiffany's name was because he knew he couldn't leave me to be with her, so he wanted to honor her in some way. This didn't make any sense because it's not like she's fucking dead or anything. I made him show me the messages. They were flirty with hearts and winks, but nothing overly sexual. From what he told me, his ex did get married. They knew they couldn't be together again, but they enjoyed talking to each other. We both ended up crying and he kept begging me not to leave him. But this is wrong. So wrong. I don't know what to do. I'm completely lost. I tried to get him to leave for a few days, but he refused. Now I'm sleeping in the guest bedroom. I feel like my entire world has collapsed. I know people will tell me to leave him or divorce him, but I'm 5 weeks away from giving birth to our daughter. I don't know what to do. I feel so hurt, confused, and betrayed. I'm not surprised. I'm also not surprised everyone in the comments urged OP to divorce this mongrel. I have to agree. After all, what's the alternative? Spend the rest of your life with someone who still has feelings for his ex? Please don't stay with him for the sake of your daughter. It won't do her, yourself, or anyone else any good. My daughter has type 1 diabetes. For the most part, she handles it like a champ, but she's a kid. Sometimes it sucks. I don't blame her when she's upset about it. She's gotten very good at managing how she's feeling and speaking up when she's unwell. The nurse and 2 of her teachers are meant to supervise when she gives herself medication. We have a plan at her school, one that's been in place since she was diagnosed. She started middle school this year, so she received a new nurse. I got a call Monday afternoon while I was at work saying the school bus driver had to call an ambulance for my daughter because she fainted. Naturally, I rushed to the hospital. She was awake and chatting with a nurse when I got there. She was feeling better and didn't seem too bothered, so I took her home and let her pick a movie to watch. Once it was over, I asked her some questions. I needed to make sure she wasn't ignoring her symptoms and had eaten lunch. She told me she felt weird just before the end of the day and checked her sugar. It was really low, so her teacher sent her to the nurse. But the nurse not only didn't give my daughter her medication, she sent her home on the bus. At this point, I was raging. Our plan with the school clearly states that if her blood sugar is too low at the end of the day, she cannot take the bus home. The nurse is supposed to administer her medication and call me so I can pick her up or arrange for someone else to take her home. I called the school Tuesday morning to arrange a meeting to talk about what happened. In the meantime, I went wild. I posted a mile-long Facebook rant with pictures of the plan and the hospital bill. It kind of took off and got a lot of attention. Last night, my siblings and co-workers started telling me maybe I went too far in making the post, specifically in naming the nurse. It was shared on a couple of different pages. A lot of people have been making comments on the school board's social media about the nurse. A lot of the outrage comes from other parents who also have plans with the school. This has gotten a little out of hand, and I want to know, am I the asshole for calling out the school nurse? Not the asshole. I do say that somewhat begrudgingly. I don't believe you should use social media to express your anger or publicly shame someone. That can only lead to trouble. However, I'd certainly be pissed if someone endangered my child by not giving them their medication, and I can't for the life of me figure out why the nurse didn't. Was she just lazy or incompetent? Perhaps both. At least the daughter was alright, but still, I hope this nurse gets the sack. There is an update, so let's see if she did. The day all of this happened, my daughter's teacher had gone to the nurse to check in on her. She knew my daughter couldn't go on the bus if her blood sugar was too low. She didn't see my daughter and asked the nurse where she was. The nurse told the teacher she'd sent my daughter home on the bus. The teacher then reported her to the school before I even knew what happened. My lawyer came to the meeting with me. The school was in damage control and was extremely apologetic. They let me know the nurse was fired. Their lawyer came with an offer to pay the medical bills plus damages. I took their offer and won't be suing them. I did move my daughter to another school and have revised her plan with the new administrators. For those concerned about my using the nurse's name, my lawyer wasn't concerned since her identity was publicly available on the school's website and socials. She also wouldn't have grounds to sue me for slander since everything I accused her of was confirmed to be true. For obvious reasons, I'm still upset about all of this, but my daughter is acting like nothing ever happened. She's fitting into her new school well, and she's as happy as ever. I'll be getting her a phone as a present. Alright then, all's well that ends well. The nurse got the boot and the daughter will be getting a phone. What more could you want? And with that, I'll end the video here. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.